Good morning. Laura Miller is going to share with us about the work in the Ivory Coast on Sunday, but I don't want us to get too far afield from the themes that we've been talking about in Ecclesiastes. So I wanted to share with you just some brief thoughts from the previous week that I've had. I listened to an interview with Rainn Wilson, who played Dwight Schrute on the TV show The Office. As he talked about the success of the show and the adulation that went with it, he captured so well one of the themes that we have been talking about in Ecclesiastes. If you remember, in a couple of different contexts, Solomon has warned us against trying to gain advantage in life from our work, both our work of labor and our work toward entertainment, comfort, pleasure. Solomon says that chasing an advantage in those things is like chasing the wind. It's hevel, he says. Instead, Solomon wants us to find joy in what is right in front of us, a meal, a drink, the tasks that he has given us to do. And so in that interview, Rainn Wilson said this. He said, "I spent many years early on in the office craving more, like it wasn't enough." And then he related a conversation with one of the other actors on the show, and he continued, "Our biggest regret from the office was that we just didn't enjoy it more. Like, let that be enough." He goes on to say that he wanted to leverage the early success into movies and the acceptance of his own scripts. As he finished talking about that part of the interview, he said, "That is one of the great spiritual conundrums. We have enough, and it's never enough. We live in chronic, anxious dissatisfaction." Next week, Solomon is going to introduce us to the frustration of wickedness somehow replacing justice and righteousness. But I wanted to make sure we didn't forget this lesson of the futility of chasing gain or advantage in what we do. For in one sense, failure to heed that lesson from Wilson and Solomon is what leads to justice and righteousness being replaced by wickedness. We often try to leverage the present for some advantage or gain in the future. We are dissatisfied with what God has given us, and so we live in chronic, anxious dissatisfaction about the future. And Solomon would say to stop and enjoy what is before you. Be present with the people and the things and the tasks that are before you. It is then that you will find contentment. I am looking forward to hearing about the ministry in the Ivory Coast tomorrow. And I hope you will join us tomorrow as we sing and pray and fellowship and are encouraged by what God is doing around the world.